Vernon Hills. We need to start with a roll call.
Chairperson Morris,
Here.
Commissioners Bora,
Here.
Cotton,
Here.
Esner,
Here.
Idner,
Here.
Mulco.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. This evening, we have a public hearing, case number 2106. It's an application requesting approval of a special use permit to allow an arcade for electronic games known as Arcade at Hawthorne. The proposed location is not very useful, 122 Hawthorne Center, Unit 614. It is zoned B1 General Business. Who is going to speak on behalf of the petitioner this evening?
That'd be me.
Okay, you need to come forward, please. And did you bring someone as moral support or also to speak?
This is my partner, Rob. So I'm Steve Christoph. This is my partner, Rob Kaufman. We're the R and S in RS Amusements.
Okay.
So that's us.
Are both of you going to speak or just one of you?
I can speak, or I mean, he can come up if he wants. It doesn't matter. I just kind of brought him for.
Why don't we have you both sworn
All
at the
right,
same time,
great.
just in case?
Come on up.
Okay,
How's everybody doing today?
okay.
Good.
So we ask you to raise your right hand and swear or affirm that this testimony you're about to give before this commission of the Village of Vernon Hills shall be the truth.
I swear.
Okay. The primary rule we have is you have to speak from a microphone which is in front of you.
Sure.
And with that, you are on.
Excellent. So just what we're doing. So like I said, we're the RNS or the S&R, I suppose, if I'm speaking, in RS Amusements. We are proposing to put in a small game room within Hawthorne Mall. Its primary function is to create an affordable and short-use arcade within the mall near the food court. It's a direct replica of an existing location we have in Gurney Mills. We opened that location earlier in the year. It's been successful and has been a positive thing for us. My family and myself, I've grown up in the arcade industry my whole life. My dad owns Christoph's Entertainment Center in Round Lake Beach. Rob is a lifelong friend of mine and also happens to be the general manager of Christoph's in Round Lake Beach. He totally runs the operation there. Through the pandemic, the two of us kind of got together. It being my family and the business he runs, we started to discuss just how much we like the arcade industry, despite the fact that we were closed through a large portion of 2020, and started to discuss how we could do things, further out in the community that aren't nearly as large as what my family does in Round Lake, which is bowling, miniature golf, go-karts, the whole gambit there. We wanted to focus just on arcades, and one thing that we noticed has kind of disappeared over time is the existence of small game rooms. Over time, game rooms have become larger, bigger, and more of an expensive night out that include food, drinks, bars, and everything in between. We wanted to provide something that when somebody's out with their family, at the mall, for instance, it's something they can give their kids $5 or $10. They can go have fun and continue on with their day. It's not something that has to be a large production or an entire night out. It doesn't need to be the focus of the evening, but just something fun for families to do and to be able to do together. That's why the large portion of the games that we provide are always two-player games, things like air hockey, regular like video games, sit-down driving games, things like that. We don't do tickets or anything like that. There isn't a large redemption concept. It's really just something that's fun for kids and families to do together while they're out at an existing location. We found that in Gurney Mills, our existing location has done really well to bolster in conjunction with the food court. People are already sitting down, eating, and taking a break from walking around, and it's a great opportunity for kids to, go and do something fun for a few minutes before they continue on with the rest of their day. And we're looking to do that exact same concept within Hawthorne Mall. I brought some photos of our existing location if you'd like to look at them. I don't know who I would give them to. I can right here in the middle.
Right, you start down.
We'll start down here.
We're more spread out.
Sorry. So those are photos. I mean, our game rooms are small. They're basically 15 to 20 games, just enough to be able to go in, spend about $5, $10, and be on your way. Nothing that needs to be anything larger than that. The space we're looking at is I think right around 1,000 square feet. So not even as large as this room. So,
Any questions, anyone?
What's your market? Who are you targeting?
I mean, the main market is just families. We don't specifically target like teens or anything like that. Our primary focus is the, family of four, mom, dad, and two kids, or, two parents out with their kids or whatever. But the primary focus is on what I remember as a kid, which was when I was out with my family and my parents could give me $5 and I could go play a game somewhere. That is the goal there, is to provide that same experience that seems to have faded away in the last 10 years as arcades have grown into massive complexes as compared to, like something you would find at a restaurant or something like that. There was always a room that had games. This is a little bit bigger than that, but not too different in its overall execution and concept.
So is the customer coming in and actually depositing funds into each machine to operate?
No, we use a card-based system. The reason we do that, and one of the main reasons we like this model, is it provides consistency. We're able to put games in and out of order entirely remotely. It ensures that nobody ever wastes their money on something. One of the worst memories and one of the worst things we've ever done running an arcade my whole life has been, you put a quarter into a machine that's already jammed and all you do is lose your quarter. We use a tap system, so it uses RFID cards that I probably have one on me. That's a Christoph's card. I have too many game cards on me, sorry. There we go. So they look like this. They're RFID cards, and in order to use them, you just tap it on the machine, and it uses the credits that way. It's a nice, easy way to make sure that all of our games are always in service, or in the flip scenario where a game is out of service, we're able to put it out of service and ensure nobody's ever losing money on it. We're not relying on a piece of paper taped to a machine to stay there until a machine is fixed or something like that. We're able to entirely gatekeep those transactions to make sure that nobody's ever playing a game that they're not going to get anything for.
Where do you get the cards?
So the cards get manufactured.
Bad question. Where does a customer get the cards?
A kiosk.
Okay, so are there employees?
In our model, no. One of the largest, struggles we have in anything is staffing right now. Our arcade, the prototype for this, which is the Gurney arcade that you're looking at, doesn't have a specific staff as far as keeping the location clean. We have an agreement with the mall worked out where the housekeeping we're paying them within our CAM to sweep and clean up, and then Rob and I divvy up our responsibilities for taking out trash, maintenance, things like that. That's one of the great benefits of the card system, is that it's able to be controlled entirely remotely. We're able to solve any issue entirely remotely, and if somebody does call with a problem, which is surprisingly incredibly rare for us, we thought we would actually get more calls than we do, but when we do, we're always very generous with our service. So again, one of the cool things about that card system is when a issue does arise, say somebody calls and says, hey, I tried playing this claw machine and the claw doesn't close. We can put the machine entirely out of order and we'll credit them back $5, $10 just for the inconvenience and the way to say thanks for actually giving us a call and making sure that doesn't happen to anybody else.
Are there any restrictions or conditions on unaccompanied children?
I don't think I understand the question.
It's a relatively large mall.
Sure.
Can you just drop your, 10-year-old off and say, have fun, I'll be back?
Theoretically, you can, yes. We do have signage posted that says, excuse me, no unattended children, things like that. Within the agreement with the mall, they have full permission to enter our space if they need to kick somebody out or somebody were causing problems. In the Gurney store, we've actually been really surprised and pleased because we had those same concerns with Gurney. And we've had little to no issues at all with any, loitering or issues like that. In any arcade, there's always some level of vandalism, whether it's stickers or people scratching things onto it, even in an arcade where there's always an attendant. And we've actually seen less damage in the unattended arcade because we do have cameras everywhere, and it's always monitored. But we've actually seen less damage and less need for repairs in our unattended arcade than we do in our actually, 24/7 fully staffed arcade, which has been strange, but I don't expect that to be any different in this location as well.
Dave or Lisa, and this may be unfair because Mike's not here, was there any concern on staff's part about unaccompanied minors or something in it? Okay.
Who opens the doors?
The doors would stay open.
No, I mean, who opens the doors at opening time and who closes them at closing time?
So in our Gurney location, they don't actually close.
There's no doors.
They just stay open, correct.
So it's like part of the food court, but it's not.
Correct. It's just outside the food court in this instance, so I don't know if you have a map of the mall in front of
So
you.
there's,
or-
yes.
There
we're
was
pretty
formerly a
familiar with
Sprint
that.
store
So
there.
there's no door entrance. There's no entrance door.
I mean, there is a door, we just don't close it or lock it. The games do operate on timers, so they do shut off, and they shut off in conjunction with the mall hours. The store does close, it's just the doors themselves don't physically.
And is there something magic about 20?
It's just a number we really like. We found that it worked really well within the Gurney location. It seems to be the right amount of games where we're able to have a fair mix of machines without it becoming so large that it feels like something you really need to make a larger destination out of, but also not so small that it feels like it's empty or not enough to do. We try to have enough machines that it seems like it'll be worth it to give your kid $5, $10 to play a game, or not a game, but a few games, and they'll have options within that, but not so large that you feel like you're going to have to spend a ton of time there, or not enough that it's worth spending any time there.
So there's a couple other facilities in this realm. There's one that we saw not long ago that is a gaming location. It seems like it's a lot more than this in model. And then there's Dave and Buster's. So, I mean, those two competitive markets, how do they influence you?
So personally, I don't want to compete with Dave & Buster's in any way. And generally speaking, their customer isn't our customer, and our customer isn't necessarily their customer. In this model, we're looking for the family that's already sitting down at the food court having Panda Express or whatever else is in the food court, and is looking for a way to just kill a couple minutes, whereas Dave & Buster's is much more of a larger destination. Within that, obviously, Dave & Buster's has an exterior entrance and becomes a large focus of people's nights. With this, we aren't the focus. We're not trying to bring people necessarily outside of what they're already doing. It's just supposed to be a fun diversion within the mall. The concept was kind of born, in the concept or within some of my other businesses that I operate as well. I operate another business within Gurney Mills and in a mall in Milwaukee as well. And in creating those facilities, we found that there were a lot of people that even in our Milwaukee mall where there's it's a round one facility right next to us, lots of people who are just kind of at the mall looking for something to do, but not necessarily people who have, $40, $50, $60, $100 to spend on dinner, drinks, and a whole night out at a larger facility. So this provides that just extra smaller diversion. And I believe the facility you're talking about is another gaming facility that's more of a PC gaming facility, which is a different concept in an altogether, which that's more of a sit-down competitive type gaming model, which
And
is
this is
different.
just for
than-
fun.
This is just fun, just something to stop and do.
Okay.
This is almost like in a mall where there's an area with vending machines, and I'm going to show my age here, and I do remember when they would have like Pac-Man machines, and you'd put your quarter in and play Pac-Man. And this is probably just the modern day version of playing those games, and probably much better games.
Exactly. And I mean, but within that, I mean, in our Gurnee location, you might even see it in the picture. We do have a pinball machine. We do have a Pac-Man game. You know, but it is nice to have some of the classics within, just for the sake of being able to have something that people are familiar with. And it's a great way, like we were taking the trash out at our Gurnee location the other day, and it was really cool to me because we had a family, and there was a mom and her 2 kids, and the dad was over playing air hockey with the son, and the mom was standing playing Pac-Man with the daughter. And it was kind of a cool moment for me where I was like, you know, this is what's cool about this, is that these are the games that you don't really see anymore, and you don't get to play anymore. And for the people like us who are maybe more nostalgic towards some of those things, it does give us the opportunity to, you know, be able to have those moments that, you know, I shared with, you know, my mom, my dad, and hopefully, you know, we can share with other people moving forwards. I know, you know, Rob's just starting a family, just had his 2nd kid, and that was a big part of why we started doing this together as well, was so that not only was he, you know, obviously operating my family's business, but so that, you know, we were able to team up and do something together, something that, you know, we're able to be proud of and bring happiness to, you know, the same type of things that we grew up with, that we hope that, you know, our kids or our families or the people we care about are able to continue to do moving forwards.
When you stand in your doorway, with your back to the business facing forward, are you looking at I don't know where this exactly is. Are you looking right at the food court? Is it right?
You would be looking at a railing.
Okay.
So it's on the 2nd floor. The food court would be right around the corner.
Okay.
So like if you
Yeah,
were
I mean,
standing
it's
there.
in a very high visibility area. You're not likely to have people trashing it. It's
Correct.
It's just an activity when when the kids are restless.
Yep.
So. And it's not esports like the other facility.
Exactly.
And it's certainly not like Dave and Buster's where you would go there and have food and drinks and so. All right, I think it's a good idea.
You mentioned that the mall is going to handle the cleaning and everything. How often are they going to be cleaning? Is it daily or?
So within that, they're supposed to be going in daily to sweep and do surface cleaning. And then Rob and I, we regularly check on the facilities. Generally in Gurnee, we're there every other day.
Weekly, more if needed.
Yeah.
Because, you know, being right at the food court, I can see a little kid going and running in and spilling and, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And within that, it's part of the reason carpet is a big part of our model. But that way there's less risk for a slip and fall hazard. But also within that, being close to the food court, that the time frame that we aim for, that 5-10 minute time frame, say somebody has a slushie, we actually find not a lot of food trash within our location because it's typically something they walk in with and something they walk out with. They're usually not in our space long enough to fully complete the drink. And then within the space, even in our Gurnee location, we have trash cans. There's 2 doors in that location. We have trash cans by each door as well as around the corner. So in a 800, 900 square foot space, there's 3 trash cans, all within about 15 feet of each other, just to ensure that there is a wide array of, ability to throw things out, which is certainly more than we need. Over a 3-4 day period, we typically don't even accumulate half a bag of trash in that time. So.
And, in today's environment with, COVID and flu season and everything, is there any consideration about possibly having things wiped down more than once a day?
Sure. Within that once a day model is kind of where we're at. We do provide hand sanitizer at the door, things like that, in the hopes that people use it. to, at least help with those high-touch environments. But within our existing model, we have them going in once a day. We can certainly speak with them to see if more than once a day would be possible.
Is the washroom for public use, or are you locking that off?
That space would be blocked off. So it's actually in like a back room closet area. That space would just be used for like if we have claw machines or anything like that, we'd have plush and objects back there, but that door, looking at the layout, would be locked.
Okay.
Anybody else? Do you have a lease for the site?
Not with me, but we do.
Okay, so you're just not licensing it from Centennial, like you're leasing it from them?
We would be leasing it from them, correct?
Okay. Once again, Dave and Lisa, may be unfair. Our packet says that it's a request by the petitioner and the owner, but we don't have anything showing the owners requesting this. Do we have something somewhere? Because it's Centennial's property.
You mean I'm sorry.
Usually we see like a letter or something from the owner.
Oh, has given authorization. It should be in here, I thought.
It says it, but we don't have, usually we have it, or did I just miss it? Which is certainly possible.
We do have a letter from them all.
Okay,
It's in the file, I didn't get it in here.
that's okay, right, okay.
And within that agreement, you also see that they are offering this tenant extra services such as.
It's just a letter indicating that they're authorized to file for a special use permit.
The additional,
I was aware that they're here.
and that additional services is listed on the lease itself.
Okay, anybody else? Want to add anything at this point?
I don't think I specifically have anything to add other than, just to thank you guys for your time and allowing us to be here.
Okay.
The Village of Vernon Hills has always been good to us. I think you grew up here or near here. I've always been in the Brown Lake area, but, growing up, I spent a lot of time at Hawthorne Mall, and it's one of the primary reasons that it was, chosen by us as one of our, as our second location. Gurney Mills was first because I already had a business there. And Hawthorne has kind of always been second on that list of like, if I have something that I can expand, that's where I want to go because it's been just a great spot. I've spent a lot of time at the events and things that I'm sure many of you have approved. So, thank you for everything you guys do and for your time today and your consideration.
Okay, thank you. I note that notices were sent out, but we received no comments from surrounding property owners, which I'm assuming is primarily Centennial. I also note that our packet contains the section 18.3 comments with respect to this. At this point, since this is a public hearing, we would open this up to anyone in the public who would like to speak or comment to us.
Say it's great.
Okay, well, then, seeing no great rush to the podium, we can close the public comments portion of this. This commission has a standing motion to approve. Before we make that motion, the question I have is a follow-up. I think it was to Scott's question. The condition of approval is a floor plan titled 20-piece game room, which would lock you into that number most likely. Is that what you really want us to do?
I suppose it would be an up to 20-piece game room. I don't specifically want more than 20, if that's the question. I suppose if the question is, do I want to be locked into a maximum of 20? I don't think I specifically mind. If there's a reason that I shouldn't want that, I'm willing to entertain it. But there may be a time that we have 18 or 19 games. If we had to pull something from the floor, if that were an issue, maybe the verbiage would be better as up to 20.
Okay.
But
We can certainly do that, but if we approve with the condition of compliance with up to 20-piece games, and you decide, well, suddenly, games have gotten, I don't know what gotten smaller because of technology or something,
They only
That
get bigger.
doesn't, that probably doesn't put you in 22. You're okay with that?
You could just call it game room,
Sure, okay, that sounds fine, and then it gives us
then it
more
would
flexibility.
eliminate the 20. That's why I asked why, if it was magic.
Right.
Okay, no, there's no specific reason for it to be 20.
Okay.
Just that's what we were looking to build, so that's what we included. But I would be fine with it just being a game room.
Perfect.
Okay.
That way you don't have to come back if you wanted to go to 21.
Sure, understood.
So what you'd have to do is you'd have to change this,
The layout.
have it say game room.
Or you
Okay.
could just cross it out and give
Yeah,
it to you.
you could
Yeah.
strike it, and I could initial it that I
Well,
was
I-
okay with that.
It depends what Lisa's going to need for the board, so.
Excuse me?
I'm more than happy to edit it, though. It would only take
Okay.
a moment in an email, so.
That's fine, okay. All right, from the commission's perspective, there were two things that were brought up. Do we need anything with respect to a condition that confirms this cleaning and additional services, especially with what Jerry mentioned?
I don't think we do, and when you get into transmittable viruses and things, yeah, they do live on surfaces for a period of time, but many of them are through airborne particles. So I don't know if we really want to go down that path. If we're not doing it for any place else in the mall, I don't know why we'd do it for them. Does Dave & Buster's have the same thing? Did we bring, I mean, I understand the point, but I don't really think it's worth.
Well, Dave & Buster's was approved years ago, and they have
Yeah,
employees
the
that clean.
esports was during the pandemic.
I don't think we should
I agree.
impose.
But what about more just generally? Like,
I think that we need to make sure that it is cleaned at least on a daily basis, you know,
Oh, yeah.
that
I
these
agree with that.
services are going to be provided at
Okay.
the mall, which, you know, as someone else mentioned, we don't have that in writing at this point.
okay. So what if we said an additional condition would be subject to verification by staff of an arrangement for cleaning services from Centennial?
What about handrails? You know, around the upstairs level, you know, when people are just hanging out on the handrails and, you know, it's kind of the same thing.
All the touch points in the mall, I think, is what you're bringing up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of it differently. Not so much with the transmission of COVID, but more with just the
General cleanliness.
general foibles of life, you know, that somebody's got to clean something because, you know, kids are kids.
Sure,
I mean,
absolutely.
Mine are bigger, but, you know,
Spilling,
they're
and-
still messes.
And that was my initial,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking more of.
yeah.
Okay, and then the other thing is, anything with respect to requiring signage regarding unaccompanied children?
I thought they said they had that.
Yeah, we can certainly provide copies of the signage as well if you'd
Okay.
like to see it. but-
Fair enough. Okay. So what we have is we have a motion to recommend approval of a special use permit allowing an arcade for electronic games, subject to the conditions: 1, general compliance with the floor plan for a game room dated September 1, that's without the number. 2, should the arcade at Hawthorne cease operation at that location, the special use permit expires, which is typical. 3, the permitted hours of operation are the same as the normal business hours for the mall. 4, compliance with any other ordinances and standards of the village except as otherwise provided. 5, subject to verification or confirmation by staff regarding an arrangement for general cleaning. And then 6, the addition of signage regarding unaccompanied children, that it be subject to staff review. Anything else? We need a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Then we need a roll call.
Chairman Morris,
Yes?
Commissioner Cotton,
Yes,
Commissioner Hesner,
Yes.
Commissioner Heidner,
Yes.
Commissioner Mulphone,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorog.
Yes.
Okay. So it goes to the board with our approval. I don't know what board meeting you're on,
19th.
the 19th.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well,
Good luck.
once again, thank you, everybody.
All
We're excited to be a part of the village. so-
Okay, best
Yep.
of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. We always have development review. Any development you want to review, Dave?
No.
None to present this evening.
All right, well, then, that was a quick one. Then we have approval of the minutes of the June 9th. Hard to believe that was our last meeting. Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, which are in our packet. Anybody have comments to it?
Wow, it's been that long ago.
Okay, we need a second.
Second.
Do that by acclamation. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against? I'd be shocked if we were. If we have nothing else, we have a motion to adjourn. We need a second.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that one? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we're adjourned.
I
Good
think we
night.
should have made the government class student come up and give his opinion while we were still on TV. Yes, we can embarrass you too.
Do you want to ask any questions specifically to one of the commissioners sitting to my left about, what he's doing? Way to my left?
That would be this one.
How long was your last meeting? How long is the last meeting?
The last meeting we had,
9:12 PM it adjourned.
so almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
We've had longer ones.
What did you vote on before you adjourned? Like the minutes then?
Oh, you wanna read them?
The minutes from the meeting.
Here, you can have this.
Well, I'll.
Yeah.
Well, he's gonna have